Welcome to the Squared Circle Pit with your host, Rob Pasbani.
Hello, KNOTFEStians. Welcome to Squared Circle Pit. I'm back for another week. It's WrestleMania week, baby. I'm very excited. I have a very special guest. I have Rick, the singer of Extinction AD, here to talk WrestleMania season with me. Extinction AD's new album, Culture of Violence, is out now on Unique Leader Records. I would say WrestleMania has quite a culture of violence. And Rick, tell me about your wrestling fan. Are you excited for WrestleMania, first of all? Are you ready?
I am excited. I'm ready because I'm done having technical difficulties and ready to chat with you. I'll try to go through it quick. I am excited. I'm always excited for WrestleMania. I have a gathering at least one of the 2 days now with some friends.
Are you doing a gathering Saturday or Sunday?
I believe the gathering is on Saturday. Sunday is going to be the more chill day. Dude, you know, I hate treating WrestleMania like the Super Bowl. Where like, hey, let's all hang out and kind of eat some shit, and then maybe we'll actually watch a little bit. I want to like hang out with my friends and say dumb stuff. I want to watch the show, so it has to keep the group to somewhat of a minimum. We used to do these gigantic parties, but I mean, as long as there's a few friends that also want to watch, and the mixed Tostitos bowl, which is get as many flavors of Tostitos as you can, mix them into one bowl, and you never know what you're gonna get. I'll eat junk for one day of the year. Who cares?
I agree. I feel like a wrestling event, you need like maybe 6 max, and they all have to be the wrestling event. It's always fun to have 1 or 2 people who don't quite follow, but are respectful enough to enjoy it and not be like, this is fake. So, because I love just the reaction when something ridiculous happens. They're like, no, this isn't a thing. This isn't. Yeah, we need that. But I agree. You got to keep it pretty intimate to be able to watch the show and take it in.
Yeah, especially, you know, the subtleties in wrestling, subtleties in any type of storytelling is what really, really sells it. I mean, whether it's TV or wrestling or music or whatever, especially WrestleMania, like that's super important. So I am excited. I think I could be more excited on the whole this year because the overall buildup in WWE has been great over the past year. Now building up to these specific payoffs at WrestleMania, the ones we do know about, some of them long time coming, a lot of them super, super rushed. I mean, I'm older, so I'm not stuck on it, but I really do enjoy a almost like a WrestleMania card announcement in late January. And then you have all that time to build up to it. Now, granted, I know it hasn't been 1990 since the 70s. So, hey, get over it. That's not the way things are anymore. And I'm cool with that.
You like a longer build. But I mean, I feel like most of the matches did have a pretty long build. Nothing has been kind of thrown together last minute, except for maybe these tag matches. We're going to go through the whole part, but go ahead.
Oh, no, sorry. I'm sorry. I think you need the balance. You know, I don't need every single match on a WrestleMania card to be Hogan Savage or Shawn Michaels and Steve Austin or whatever other dated reference. You know, I like the sometimes throwaway, you know, hey, let's have Kerry Von Erich and Dino Bravo fight in the second match of WrestleMania 7. Like, why? It's like, because wasting 5 minutes is cool. I'm all about that. I think I wanted a hair more intrigue overall, but I mean, like I said, we're going to go through. There's some of these matches that I would happily pay, you know, pay-per-view price from 10 years ago for.
Yeah. Well, before we get to the card, I wanted to ask what was your earliest memory of pro wrestling? When did you get into it?
So we've attempted to discuss. I have vague memories of watching WrestleMania 3 live with my family, which is crazy. I was not even a big wrestling guy at that point. It was 87. I was born in 80. So I grew up through the rock and wrestling era. So I watched the cartoon and, you know, you catch All-American and Superstars here and there, but I wasn't following. I just happened to go to my aunt and uncle's house that day in 87. And I remember watching Hogan and Andre live, and I would love to say, oh, that changed my life. It was another probably 2 years or so till I became completely obsessed. But like I said, it might be some false memories and amalgamation, but I distinctly remember watching Hogan and Andre live.
That's really cool. So who was the wrestler that finally hooked you? Who was the first person that you were like really into?
The Ultimate Warrior, which I
course.
mean makes perfect sense, especially like late 80s, early 90s, 8 years old, 9 years old, 10, comic books and such. Like, oh, well, I know about Hulk Hogan, but I mean, Hulk Hogan is 6'8" and white and blonde and bald. Like, that has nothing to do with me. Ultimate Warrior is an alien and he's overly caffeinated and crazy. Like, oh, hey, that's me, even at like 9 years old. So he really, really turned it from, oh, I know about wrestling, I know about Hogan and a couple of other guys and such to hey, maybe I'll just pretend I am the Ultimate Warrior for the next couple of years. And that really like took over all my, 9 and 10-year-old and etc. like hobbies. It took over school. It took over anything or everything. And it was a great decision.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I got into it. We're about the same age, so I got into it around the same time. And that was a really, really fun time. I have very good memories of it. What was your first dip in the pool for like hardcore and rock music?
I mean, I feel like the first thing I ever wanted to do was like well, at the time, like, what do you want to be when you grow up? Well, I want to be a rock star. But dude, Def Leppard, Pyromania, 83. I was 3 years old, like psyched on that record.
Oh,
I mean, we had MTV, so we had like cool videos as well as cool music. I remember I've told this story before. I remember stressing out when I was like 4 or 5 when people, my sisters, we'd be talking about like, oh, who's your favorite band? What's your favorite song? Whatever. And I was stressing out over thinking about Rock of Ages, the Def Leppard song. Like, is that actually my favorite song, or do I really just like the video? And like stressing out over that at 5 years old, like whether or not I'm, into the substance enough. But I've always been into music, so heavy music. Def Leppard and Guns N' Roses turns into what Poison and Headbangers Ball, which then you find Metallica. Then everything changes, and Metallica goes through their phases, and then you discover, or then I discovered punk, and I was like, oh my god, punk is like everything I wanted from metal, but I'm getting older. It's a bit more real, and then you find hardcore, and it really ties everything together. So that was my kind of chain of evolution, was metal to punk to hardcore. But I mean, at the root of it, I've picked up all three, and I never dropped one. When I was like really getting into punk and was like a teenage punk rocker, I never like denounced metal. And a bunch of my friends did that. And then, when I found hardcore, it was like the perfect evolution from, what I was looking for from punk. I never like stopped being a punk rocker or stopped being a metalhead at those points either.
cool. Yeah. And I've noticed with like hardcore, I feel like there's a much bigger than normal crossover of wrestling fans in the hardcore scene. What is it about? What is it about it that makes people like both?
I feel like I used to have a very like overly heady explanation about this, especially when I was considering the lifestyle of like a hardcore musician as opposed to like a big rock star, and like indie wrestlers as opposed to WWE, WWF, WCW, whatever wrestlers. I think as I've gotten older and music has changed and wrestling has changed, I don't draw that comparison as much anymore. So there is a complete non-answer. Nowadays, I really don't know why. I feel like maybe, and I might be pulling this out of my ass, maybe hardcore has gone through so many phases that hardcore isn't the underground thing that we kind of may or may not remember it being or pine for or are okay with it not being. And I feel like wrestling is in a huge boom right now where
Yeah.
indie wrestling in 2023 is not anywhere close to as big as mainstream wrestling was 5 or 10 years ago, but there's less of a gray area if you kind of follow where I'm going. I mean, indie wrestling
Yeah.
is
Well, I think
huge
also it's
right
because of
now.
social media too, because
There
there
you
was
go.
no way for 20 years ago, Ring of Honor was putting on easily the best wrestling in the country, but you could only see it 3 months after because of the turnover of having to edit the video, whatever. Now everything is on live stream. It's somebody clips something that happened 30 seconds ago in a VFW hall, in LA, and I could see it here in New York on Twitter. Like somebody just posted a GIF of this insane spot, so it's much
Yeah.
easier to get all of these and I think also what's so crazy is like someone does a crazy move on an indie show in front of 20 people, it goes super viral. 2 weeks later, somebody can be doing it on national television,
Yeah. Yeah.
or
And you know what?
that particular wrestler could be on national television, which is
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
awesome.
Dude, I'm glad you say that too, because that's a thing where it's so easy to be like, well, it used to be like this and things were so much better. And when it comes to music and wrestling, I never want to take that stance because, hey,
Agreed.
everything is for everyone if you're not an asshole. Um, can you acknowledge things used to be a certain way and there was a certain charm to things, whether that be wrestling or music back in the day? Of course, you could do that with anything, and it's such a boring conversation. Hey, let's be inclusive. If you were a part of it when things were niche and you really like that, well, enjoy those memories and try to bring the positives of that to a larger audience. And that's kind of how I feel with wrestling and music, where, like you said, instead of, oh, you have to search and search and tape trade to find this one crazy spot that you see it on a video 3 years later, it's trending on Twitter and it's easy to see it. I mean, I think there's lots of positives in that. And that goes with music also, where streaming has so many negatives. But what are you going to do? Technology in the world advances. I mean, I'm not saying embrace every negative on earth because you can't fight it, but sometimes, hey, let's focus on some positive and have some fun. You know, hardcore bands aren't as underground as they used to be because music overall isn't as underground as it used to be. You could either bitch about that and just complain about how things have changed. And, when you were younger, you had to eat like chewed up Oreos, whether that's a real story or not. If you get that, it's funny. If you don't, it doesn't matter. Or just embrace, hey, you know what? A million people can see a wrestling match or hear your demo if the cards fall in your favor.
Yeah, if the song is good enough, or if the spot is good enough.
I sometimes I think my songs are really good and they still don't get a million people to listen to them. But
You just don't have the right influencers being the ones listening first.
I need to do like a really good wrestling spot to go along with my really good songs.
Yeah, there you go. Have like a death match happen during your set, and then like have somebody do something stupid,
Or
and then
brilliant.
boom, yeah, or brilliant, yeah. Either way, and then it'll get passed around. Let's go through this card. Let's go through the WrestleMania card. I actually have the fancy graphics, so we could go through match by match. I'm pretty excited about this. So first off, hosted by The Miz, which I am genuinely so happy about, just because this means we don't have to have a match with The Miz. And I like The Miz. I think he's a great character. I think there's a need for like he has a reason to be there. I'm not one of those people that like shuns him. He's entertaining, but I'm not crazy about his wrestling. And WrestleMania, is about wrestling. So I'm fine with this. He could come out, say a few things, do some transitions. Okay with me.
I think this is a good spot for him this year.
Yeah.
I like The Miz also. I am fine with him wrestling and having matches. Does The Miz need to have a WrestleMania match with no story in 2023? No. Hey, here's a great spot. Be on TV 2 nights in a row. He's going to say some funny stuff. I mean, he's going to be totally fine with being the butt of a joke. I mean, hopefully we get to see Maurice. And hey, good for everyone.
Yeah, maybe get some legends with him, like do some
Yes.
like the equivalent of the old Mae Young spot where where like she tries to flirt with him or something, but obviously Mae Young is no longer with us. So
Yeah,
but yeah,
instead of
this is fine.
instead of seeing Mae Young's boobs, maybe we'll just get a bunch of balls joke with the Miz,
Yeah.
which is so stupid and shouldn't be funny and just like so adolescent, but like I'll laugh
He
at
make
some
he
balls
makes it
jokes.
work.
Yeah, I like it.
All right, moving along. Let's see what our next match in the lineup is. Oh, we have performing America the Beautiful, Becky G. And now I feel so old because I don't know who that is.
My wife knows who that is, and I mean, it can't be any worse than Rockin' Robin at WrestleMania
Yeah,
5.
it's
So
it's fine. All right, so here we have the first match. This was just announced, I believe, last week. It is a men's tag team showcase match, is how they're billing it. Basically, it's an excuse to get as many people on the card. I'm always for these kind of matches. And like, I think I totally get the idea that like there's these guys, these are the people putting in the work week after week, grinding it out. And this is the big show. This is the big payday. This is the show that everyone wants to be on. And then like when push comes to shove, it's like, well, we don't really have a story for you, but like you have worked hard. You're just going to sit in catering. Like that seems lame to me as not necessarily a fan, but someone with empathy. so, so I'm all for these matches. I totally get why they exist. And I know that all 8 of these guys are going to be super fucking ready to put on a cool show. And it'll be like a fun 10-minute spot fest kind of thing.
yes, I absolutely agree. I think, especially with 2 days, this is the reason why you do 2 days now. If
Yeah.
this was a 1 day show, and no matter how many great matches there are, I don't want to sit through a 7-hour wrestling show. So split it up 2 days, get everybody on. Like you said, these guys, everyone's going to be doing some crazy stuff. And even anybody who can't do something crazy will do something somewhat memorable. I think this is the type of match where specifically Montez, Ricochet, Gable are going to have, hey, who's going to steal this match with something crazy? Now, doing something crazy isn't always the most difficult thing as far as what we're going to remember. Because those are the guys that could, jump off the top rope and, grab a trapeze and flip around and fall 20 stories. Now, on the other hand, Otis, Strowman, and Dawkins, I think, are the guys that could do something that we really, really remember, because it's going to be less flashy in the acrobatic way, but something like big and powerful that might actually be memorable because we're not really expecting it as much. Personally, and I know this goes against popular opinion, I'm not a fan of the Viking Raiders. They just don't do it for me. But I would be more than happy than to be turned around on them, because I've been back and forth, and lately it's not my thing. But I mean, hey, here's the stage to do it. So I'm hoping that they're the breakout team of this match.
I like them in the indies when they were the War Raiders. I thought they were a really fun heavyweight team, but I agree, WWE, they haven't done much for me. All 4 of these teams are going to bring it. Ricochet and Montez both do that insane jump from the ring over the turnbuckle spot. So I could see them both trying that maybe at the same time. I could see one of those spots where like, oh, it's the moment where everyone does a suicide dive.
Yeah.
And then like Braun or Ivar. I could see Ivar doing it. Like Ivar comes in, he's like, I'm gonna do one. And everyone's like, oh my God. And then Braun comes in, he's like, all right, I'm gonna do one. But then he's gonna get stopped because I don't want to see Braun like trying to kill himself and the rest of the team.
I think there's the big chance that we get hey, let's hug our friends while our other friend jumps on top of us over and over again.
Yeah,
where,
exactly.
Hey, you know what? Do that a few times in a row. Have Ivar jump on everyone, and then when everyone's kind of doing the I'm stunned Mortal Kombat finish them thing, that's when we can have Strowman lap the ring and just bowling ball everyone.
Oh, I like that.
There we go.
I like that. There we go.
That's what I would do with my toys.
And really, like, this is one of those matches where it doesn't really matter who wins. Like, it's irrelevant.
Totally.
But I guess if we had to pick one, I would say the most Like if this was the WWE 2K, the team with the biggest score here is Street Profits. So I would
Yeah.
say they're probably the likely ones to win. All right, let's move on. Let's see what else we got here on the card. After the men's fatal four-way, we of course have, I believe, the women's fatal four-way. Let's see. Here we go. Yes. Oh no, this is the women's 6-man tag match. So this is a really interesting thing. This is something that I feel like they've been doing the last few years now, where they bring back a legend or two. Mostly, they've been doing this more with the women. I feel where they bring back Lita or Trish, and now Lita and Trish
Yeah.
for these matches. And you know what? Like, I'm okay with it. They're not bad. Like they could still work. Lita is not the Lita she was 20 years ago, which we shouldn't really expect, but she still could pull out the flashy moves. I feel Becky is one of the best in the game right now. This story has been fun. I feel like it's given Bailey something to do. I love Io Sky, and Dakota Kai is great as well. So this has been a fun program that they've kind of set up. It's interesting that Trish is in the center and not Becky, because she's the one that's going to be hanging out after WrestleMania. But you have to think that the good gals are going to win here. Like this is a match for Trish, Becky, and Lita to win.
So I am full on rooting for the heels here.
Okay.
I am huge Trish fan. Always have been, 99, 2000 when she first appears, I'm 19, 20. So like, oh my God, look at this chick. But I mean, dude, her evolution is unbelievable. A couple of years later, it was like, oh, she's the best women's wrestler on TV. Now, the pool wasn't large then, but I mean, that doesn't take away from
she put in the
her
work.
ability.
I agree with you. Yeah.
I
agree. Yeah.
I think Bailey has probably done the least in-ring work in her career over the last 2 years, and it just absolutely doesn't matter. I think she's been on fire for like 5 years now. I love the Damage Control team. I don't love the name, but I mean,
agreed.
But yeah, I'm with you. I think Io and Dakota are sick. I think Dakota is just like a star waiting to really, really pop out. So I feel like the heels need to go over here because they've just been the foil for so long. But I mean, on the other hand, like, well, you have Trish and Lita and then Becky. Of course, everybody in the world is going to want them to, send everyone home happy, that whole thing. Not that this is closing the show or anything. But I think this is going to be a fun one. I have no problem with the titles not being defended. I have no problem with, hey, bring back legends. There's there's so many matches. Let's make the matches different. On paper, like, hey, let's have Becky and Lita, whoever the tag team champions are, fight Damage Control and whatever. Like, hey, let's get Bailey involved in an actual match. Throw a 6-man in. You know what I mean? Not every WrestleMania match needs to have championship stakes or, the story is more important than the titles here. So I don't think there's going to be a classic by any means, but I'm hoping that was it last WrestleMania when they formed Damage Control, or was that SummerSlam?
SummerSlam.
Okay. So I would like personally for this to be Damage Control's real, I guess not breakout moment, but solidifying themselves as an actual threat. Because even when they had the tag team titles, it was all kind of like sketchy heel stuff, which is, appropriate.
For the course for them.
Yeah, I would like to see them straight up go over here.
Yeah, they could use it more. I agree with you there. But I think it'll be a fun match regardless. Interestingly, Becky said that she is like they're going to be doing this match on the first night, and then she's going to defend the women's tag team titles on the second night. So I don't know if they're going to set that up tonight. Again, we're recording this Monday before Raw. They still got some time to set up a match, but we'll see. I don't really need another match with them, but whatever. Well, sure.
Yeah.
All right. Then we have this match is opening the first night of WrestleMania. John Cena versus Austin Theory. And to be honest, like, I get it. I understand. I think this is a very big match for Austin Theory. people like John Cena. He's one of their biggest draws. But for me personally, this does nothing. This tells me I can show up late for my Saturday party or whatever, like I don't have to see this match. I don't like, and I'm not trying to be a dick, but like
Yeah.
for my personal tastes, I don't really care about this match. If I'm looking from a business point of view, I would think it makes all the sense in the world for Austin Theory to win because he needs a win. John Cena will always be John Cena. He could afford to lose, and he's likely not sticking around. Like I don't imagine he's going to be in the April pay-per-view. Like he's barely around to promote this. He was only on one Raw. So I just imagine Austin Theory is going to win. Maybe shenanigans. But I don't know. I'm glad it's the first match so we could be over with it. Better like the first match than it's like, 4 hours into the show and then it's like, oh God, this match.
You know what? I actually think it being the first match, I really like that for a different reason than you do. Not because just something I can miss. I think it's a really good way to start the show off hot. Even if I'm not super interested in it as a fan, which I am interested in this as a fan, but if I'm not, the crowd, just because, hey, it's WrestleMania, let's go. Oh, John Cena's first. It's kind of it's like choosing what song you're going to play first in your set. Right. It's not what you're going to play last, but it's kind of, hey, let's open up strong. Let's make sure we do something everybody knows if you're a band that plays songs that people know. As well as not having for the people who are not exactly up to date and still aren't super psyched on John Cena, that's not looming over you the entire day. When's John Cena coming up? Hey, start off hot. Angle wise, I think this is fine. I think the match will be fine. I agree. I think Austin Theory has to go over. And in my opinion, I really want him to go over clean. Now, I'm not saying clean hits him with a few setup moves, a finisher, and pins him. But I'm really hoping it's a one-on-one match where, no ref shenanigans. Like maybe if the ref gets, takes a bump or something. But I mean, even so, first match, no, ref, don't take a bump. I mean, he's got to do A, B, and C, whether that's, hitting him with a chair or, a car or whatever. Theory has to put him in a finisher and then pin him. In my opinion, that's really, really going to set the tone for, are we just getting like, I don't even want to say fan service because I don't think, legend babyface going over every match is even fan service in 2023. That's out of touch fan service. No, I don't think Theory winning is fan service, but I think it's setting it up. It's 2023. This is who is in WWE right now. We want to give Theory the push. Have him beat Cena clean. Like you said, what does it matter if Cena wins? Like, it makes no sense. It's going to hurt Theory to lose. It's going to help him to win. It's not going to hurt Cena in any way, shape, or form, regardless of what happens.
Yeah, I could see it being something where it's like, the brass knucks or whatever. Like he has brass knucks and he uses them, but then he hits the A-Town down finisher. That's fine. Like that, like you want to protect Cena somewhat, but yeah, he needs the win here. All right, let's see what else we got on the card. We're plowing, so that's the first match of the show. Then coming up after the U.S. title match, I think like what I really like is every title is on the line in this pay-per-view, which it's been like 5 years since the Intercontinental title has been on the line in WrestleMania. This match should be fun. Seth Rollins versus Logan Paul. I do not have any real opinion on Logan Paul as a social media personality. I guess I would say I leaned negative based on what I had seen. I'm a little too old to be in his peripheral, but I have been incredibly impressed with what he has been doing in a wrestling ring. He's incredibly athletic. He's had 3 matches. They've all been like the best. He is the best celebrity wrestler there has ever been. I can't think of anyone that has gotten every aspect of it as good in terms of being charismatic and executing the moves like flawlessly. So this is going to be a banger. Seth is arguably the best guy in the ring in WWE right now. He is yet to have a bad match. Even if he's in the worst program His matches are good. So I imagine this will be a great match. This will be one of the main events. And I think Seth needs to win.
Dude, I agree with you everywhere. So I think I know Logan Paul a little bit more from the internet because my wife is younger, so she like has TikTok and stuff. So I mean, Logan Paul seems like an absolute terrible human. But the sentiment when I talk to my friends and everybody, it's like, oh God, that dude sucks. I want to hate him. Isn't he so good in the ring? Like, dude, you can't argue with his talent, as well as like a natural heel. Like he just leans into it, and it's so much fun to hate him, and then knowing he's going to do something crazy, and the fact that he could have good wrestling matches, and Rollins has been on like a fucking peak or ascent for the past 2 or 3 years. I mean, I think last year might have been the best year of his career, dude. I think last year was a lot of, certain wrestlers. Another one we'll get to, I'll bring up when we get to it. But Rollins is on this incredible path right now. So yeah, I think this match is going to be really, really amazing. I'm sure there's going to be like at least 2 highlight reel moments in this match. And I mean, the finish, what does it matter? Makes no difference who wins or loses this match, so long as the match is good and the story they tell is good. And I have like absolute confidence in both these guys in ring to just like knock this out of the park.
You're totally right. Like Logan Paul could win this match. I just think that Rollins has been kind of just lost in the shuffle almost. And I feel like he's ready for his sort of maybe main event or second from the top run again. Like he needs to be built up again a little bit.
I agree. I don't see it as him being lost in a shuffle as much as him biding his time, as well as having fun with this like crazy Joker character. Like, dude,
Yeah.
I haven't seen him have this much fun in years. I mean, having fun rocks, especially when you're getting paid and, cool family, hot wife. Like, he's killing it.
Yeah. My favorite version of his character was when he was in it was like the one right after the Shield when he won the title. With the Money in the Bank, he had J&J Security, and I really enjoy him more as kind of this asshole heel character, which I feel he's still playing that character now, but as a face. So it's a little
that's
weird.
That's when you know someone's on fire, when they switch from heel to face or vice versa, and they really don't change much. It's kind of like whether they're going for the cheap insults with the crowd and whether the crowd is behind them or not. I mean, not that it's exactly on this level under any circumstances, but I mean, look at Steve Austin's, WWF chain or WWE heel to face change. He didn't change anything. The crowd just like, you know what? This guy rocks. Let's cheer him. Like, all right, same guy.
That's a good point. Let's see what else we got on the card. We have Asuka versus Bianca Belair for the Raw Women's Championship. This feels like one of the weakest builds on the show, which is weird because when I saw the match being kind of like teased, I was very much like, oh, this will be a fun one. Like these 2 women can wrestle. They're great. Asuka's the best women's wrestler maybe in WWE. Bianca's phenomenal. They're going to have a great match, but the build just isn't working. Like I can't even tell you what the build was, honestly.
Yeah, dude, I agree. I think the build for this has been weak. I think this is a bit of, hey, WrestleMania women's title on paper, Bianca and Asuka, like, oh, of course. I think the build has been weak. And to be perfectly honest, this might be unpopular. I have really, really lost a lot of investment in Bianca lately. I think her title reign this time has been kind of weak. And here's something that, may or may not be blasphemous or controversial. I think her in-ring performance over the past 6 months has just like really, really declined. So one of my least favorite things in wrestling is hey, you ready? Okay, I'm gonna duck your clothesline, and I ducked your clothesline. You ready? Here's a slow forearm. That ultra telegraphed like
choreography kind
of just kind of like practicing performing a wrestling match with your friends in the pool. That's kind of what I've gotten from Bianca the past couple months. Dude, I get it from Candice LeRae also. And I can't stand that. And like, I might be way too cynical sometimes when I'm watching. Like, well, of course they're fucking fighting, and sometimes you need to make sure you don't actually get hit. But like, yo, if you actually get hit, you actually get hit. Like, I don't want to see. Oh, dude, we'll get to it also, but I'll just bring it up now because I ramble. I've been seeing that a lot with Charlotte, and it bums me out because for a really long time, Charlotte was my favorite active wrestler. And I feel like since she's come back, it's like, did you forget how to do this, man? Like,
Yeah,
what
she had
is
that
going
match with
on?
Shotzi, right? Like on SmackDown a few weeks ago, where
Ugh,
it just looked very, very slow motion.
it,
I think a lot
yeah.
of that has to do with confidence. A lot of that has to do with
Mhm.
just confidence and like getting your reps in. And Charlotte, she hadn't been wrestling for 6 months, so maybe she's just still a little rusty. But I totally know what you're saying. And with Bianca, I agree that I feel like she's lost a little heat the last
Mhm.
few months. Just because, like, what was the? I feel like the last program was very similar, where like she wasn't really wrestling. She was just coming out and like I guess she's been feuding with Carmella a little bit. I don't know. They don't know what to do with her.
Yeah,
Uh,
she's been a little directionless.
I
So
guess it would be. It's like she's had the title for a really long time now. I think since
yeah.
SummerSlam. So maybe it's time for Asuka to win. And Asuka always delivers. I've never seen a bad Asuka match. She is at the top of her game, and it would be cool for her to finally have a win at WrestleMania.
Yeah, I am looking for this year's WrestleMania crowd to be so into Asuka that it almost turns into them turning on Bianca, not in a heel way, in a
And wanting
WrestleMania
to see a
loyalty
title
way.
change way. Yeah. I totally know what you're talking about.
And I don't know how Bianca is going to handle that, but I guess we'll see. I might be wrong, but
This match, to me, I love both of these guys. It's Edge versus Finn Balor in a Hell in a Cell, and allegedly the rumor is it's going to be Brood Edge versus Demon Finn Balor. The first time we see the Demon since the pandemic, I think.
yeah.
Since that match with the weird match with Roman Reigns where he had the heart attack or whatever. Uh, but this feels like a unnecessary Hell in a Cell for me. And like I don't want to seem like I'm not a bit like I'm not in WWE business, so it's not for me to determine. But like, why we don't need this? We don't need this at WrestleMania. There's plenty of stuff. Like I feel bad for this crew setting up that giant canopy that they always set up for WrestleMania. Now they got to hang a cell from the top
Yeah.
of that thing. That seems like a nightmare. And in general, I am very, very over this Edge versus Judgment Day feud. I've been over it since before Royal Rumble, even like when he came back. I think he's still feuding with them. And again, I say this as somebody who, like, I loved Edge, loved it. He was my favorite thing. He was the anti-John Cena. As much as I didn't like John Cena, I loved Edge. And Finn was my guy. Right now, they're both a little cold for me. Edge is kind of in this weird. I hate even saying it, but he's kind of like in this moment for me of like when these legends come back and they sort of overstay their legend welcome. Like
Yeah.
that's kind of how I feel with him. Like I
Yeah.
love you, Edge, but like I don't want to see you wrestle anymore. I think he's retiring in the summer anyway. So okay, we could take a few Edge matches.
It kind of seems like he's in an in-between stage where like, are you an in and out temporary guy or are you a full-time guy that
Yeah.
is taking breaks because of the angle or because you got hurt or whatever? This is one of those, actually, this is very specifically one of those programs where if it's not on my TV and it gets brought up, I'm like, nah, that's fine, but I don't really care. And then once it's on TV, I'm like, oh, dude, let's go. So once they incorporated Hell in a Cell, I was like, I guess they're just trying to heat something up that's, tepid. But as soon as anybody brings up, well, this is a perfect chance for him to, possibly reprise the Brood character. And it's like, oh, dude, he's like you said, we know he's on borrowed time, thankfully for his, from his own volition, not because he's like, has any ultra nagging injuries new ones that we know about, but a potential last WrestleMania Edge in Hell in a Cell as, an homage to Brood Edge versus a Demon Balor, then I'm like, you know what? I'm here for all the fun. Let's have a good time. And like 2 nights of WrestleMania, throw in a Hell in a Cell. So long as we're not hanging the big boss man from it,
Oh my God.
let's have a good time.
Yeah, no, it'll be a fun, like both of these guys are going to work really, really. Like that's the thing. Like Edge hasn't had a bad match since he's been back, and Finn Balor always great. So I think this will be really fun. There's rumors that Edge is going to bring in Gangrel, and he's going to do an intro with Gangrel. That could be fun, or like somehow Gangrel is going to be involved. But I guess if this is the culmination of the feud, and Hell in a Cell should be, I feel like Finn Balor should win. Edge isn't going to be around. Finn Balor is going to be around. But this is WrestleMania, and the WrestleMania rule says baby faces win. So
yeah. I mean, especially Gangrel is a little puffy right now, but hey, let's get Heath paid. I like that guy.
Well. Oh, I'm all about legends getting paid. Will Gangrel be in Edge's corner, or will it be one of those things where it's like a turn and he helps Finn win?
Now that is something that I do like.
Yeah, that would be interesting. But I kind of feel like Finn needs the win more. But since it is WrestleMania, and like this is like a revenge feud since they kicked Edge out of Judgment Day, I feel like I could see Edge winning as well.
Yeah, this has to be the blow off. I don't want to see this feud go on.
I don't want to see them anywhere near each other ever again. Yeah, agreed. Let's see what else we got. This one, when I first heard it, I was like, no, why? Right now, I am all about this match.
Yo, this is another thing. As soon as they bring it up, like, seriously, this is like such. I mean, I don't know the guy, so I don't play this game. But the internet, this is such this is a Vince McMahon thing. Like, hey, guess what, idiots? Everything on WrestleMania is a Vince McMahon thing, whether you want to acknowledge that. But what we think we know about Vince McMahon, like, well, just throw the big guy in with the other big guy. Should be stupid. Everything about this should suck. There's no reason why I should have any interest in this whatsoever across the board in any universe. But I'm with you. Like, hey, guess what? I'm excited to see this match. It's going to be 5 minutes of like smashing. Lesnar is going to sell for Omos, and that's going to be cool to watch because Omos needs that help. And he doesn't need that help from squashing 2 or 3 jobbers at a time. He needs that help, smashing Lesnar. Who wins, who loses, who cares? I absolutely think that this is going to be between 3 and 6 minutes of really enjoyable little slugfest.
Yeah, and you're totally right. And this is the best kind of Lesnar match. Like, there was a rumor he might have faced Bray Wyatt, and I don't want to see that. No. I want to see Lesnar take someone to Suplex City. I totally agree with you. What's going to happen? The match is going to start. MVP is going to distract Lesnar. Omos is going to get the best of him. Omos is going to beat him up for 2 minutes. Crowd is booing, boo, boo, boo. Then suplex, F5, F5, match over. Everyone's happy.
Yes.
I think that's what's happening. No way Lester's losing. All right, what else we have? We're getting to the top of the card now. These are the big matches. This match I am so looking forward to. Dude. They have done an incredible job.
Yes.
Building
yes.
Rey versus Dominic Mysterio. And, when Dominic Mysterio came in a few years ago, the first time I think I saw him as an adult was when Rey faced Brock Lesnar, I believe it's Survivor Series. And then they did a spot where Dominic got in the ring and they both did a 619 together on Brock. And I swear I got teary-eyed. I was like, oh my God, this is so beautiful. I know how much this means to Rey Mysterio. Rey Mysterio is all-time, one of the greatest of all time. I will never say a bad thing about Rey Mysterio. He's one of my all-time favorites. I have so much respect, like the ultimate babyface. Like, he gets sympathy so well, and it's been incredible watching how he has used his career of getting sympathy to make sure all of his fans hate his son. and Dominic has been he had that line like a few weeks ago, like, oh, my friends got Mercedes and you got me a fucking BMW. You couldn't even get me an M series. Dominic has been so good. I didn't think I would care about this match. I am all in on this match. The crowd is going to be nuts for this match. I think it's going to be really, really good. And look, I think Dominic has to win,
yeah.
the whole reason that Ray is doing this is to set his son up for a career. He's no way Ray is going to allow himself to get the victory.
I think every single step of this program, even starting from them deciding to team before they even won the titles, has been just absolutely flawless. The mixture of the humor with Prison Dom is
So
just,
good.
it's so funny. Being able to mix in like ridiculous The Office humor into a story that is like so obviously transparent because of the situation, and something we're still so invested in, and doing the equivalent to Brett and Owen. I'm not going to fight you. I'm not going to fight you. I never fight my brother. Like, I don't care what you do. We all knew what was happening, and the fact that they just kept letting it go week after week after week, that they don't even solidify the match until 8 or 9 days before WrestleMania. But we knew it was happening. It was just like, I'm just stating the most obvious things in the world, but I cannot possibly put this angle over more. On top of that, I think Dominic is, especially at the point he's at in his career, I think he's great in ring.
Yeah.
He's only going to get better in ring. He's only going to get better on the microphone, but I think he's doing a hell of a job. I think, as you said, Ray is just not even a first ballot. He's like a 0 ballot Hall of Famer. He's still wrestling. His ability to emote with a mask on and being the same height I am, which is like embarrassing. Just, he is the definition of legend. And he's not even that old yet because he started so young. So, I mean, he still has a whole life to live after wrestling, and watching his son evolve the way he's going to. Amazing. Can't wait for this match. Probably in my like top 3 matches I'm most excited for all weekend.
I assumed they weren't even going to announce the match until the Hall of Fame, but then they just did it, and so it'll be interesting to see if Dominic interferes in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Because I think that they could set up a little angle there too. Let's see what else we got on the card. Now we're in this match. This is strong style, comes to WrestleMania. Sheamus and Gunther had an incredible match at Clash of the Castle, maybe the best match in WWE last year. So I expect it even like I want all of their chests to be bleeding red by the end of this match.
And
I want
they will be.
Chop Fest. Like if Brock Lesnar is Suplex City, this is Chop Fest City. This is going to be so good. I'm so, like, the moment they started teasing this, I'm like, I'm all in on this. This is the perfect WrestleMania mid card match.
So Gunther, Walter, now my favorite active wrestler. He was just behind Charlotte for a few years, but I mean, I think the past couple of years he's been in my match of the year, regardless of who it was. So I always make like a top 10 list. I think last year he might have been in 2 or 3 matches in my top 10. He's usually in more than one. When it first seemed like they were going this direction, like, oh, they're going to do a 3-way, I was like, that's such bullshit. Like, Gunther needs to have a one-on-one WrestleMania match because it's going to steal the show. So I was super against the 3-way, knowing full well it's going to be the 3 of them even before the finish of the Sheamus McIntyre match, obviously. As soon as that match was over and they said, oh, well, it's going to be a 3-way, I said, totally wrong, on board. There's going to be years for Gunther to have WrestleMania one-on-one spectacular show-stealing matches. And we've seen him do it on SmackDown, and we've seen him do it on other pay-per-views, seen him do it in NXT for years. Like, we haven't seen him in a classic 3-way. Like, I have all confidence in him. If there was 2 lesser wrestlers, to still have an amazing 3-way. Now, I think the world of Drew McIntyre and Sheamus is a guy I've been back and forth on. Last year, again, like I said with Rollins, I think last year was Sheamus's best year of his career.
Agreed.
So I think this is going to be absolutely phenomenal. I think it's going to be a slugfest. I think this is going to be I keep saying breakout moment. I think this is going to be a moment for all 3 of these guys where it's, oh, they could do more than we thought they could do. They could hold it down in a 3-way where it's not 2 guys in the ring for 3 minutes while 1 guy sits outside. I'm sure we're going to get a little bit of that, but I think they're going to do some phenomenal stuff. And overall, I think, again, Gunther's going to come out of this for the super casual fan who only watches, WrestleMania, a few Raws a year, maybe a SummerSlam, and they'd be like, yo, who the fuck is that guy? And we're all going to know, this is, in my eyes, Gunther, if he's not headlining next year's WrestleMania, he's the next franchise heel WWE World Champion.
He's already up there, like, as one of their top guys. He main events SmackDown regularly. I really like how they've made the Intercontinental title seem much more valuable now with him as champion.
Yeah.
I think he should retain.
Agree.
But because it is a triple threat match, they are setting up a scenario where, Drew could pin Sheamus or vice versa. He's still undefeated. So they could be doing a title change. I don't think they need to.
No,
he's really good as the champion right now. And Drew and Sheamus don't need the title. They're really good. They're really good with their characters too. So I predict that Gunther retains, and I can see this feud continuing a little bit. This is really just like kind of the start of this feud, whereas most of the other feuds are kind of culminating.
Yeah, as well as the situation with the Brawling Brutes and Sheamus and Drew McIntyre. I feel like that's going to be a post-WrestleMania disbandment, especially with that SmackDown match with Gunther and Butch, which, I mean, they've had those NXT matches, which were just absolutely unbelievable. And I think I hope we see more of that, on the main roster. But yeah, this is probably the match I'm looking most forward to.
So next up, we have what is likely to be the Saturday night main event for the WWE SmackDown Women's Championship, Charlotte Flair versus Rhea Ripley. And for a main event, I feel like the buildup for this has been a little weak. They're just going off the match that they had 3 years ago where Charlotte beat Rhea. I think Rhea Ripley right now is the hottest woman star in WWE. Hottest meaning like buzz-wise. Attraction, I'll leave that. That's a subjective thing. I'll leave that up to you. But I think she is really on. She's on the level, almost on the level, not quite there, of China at the moment. So I think it would be a huge mistake to kill her momentum. And I think she kind of has to win here. This is her moment. This is Rhea Ripley's moment. It's very difficult because Charlotte just came back. She just won the title. And, they like having baby faces go over, especially in main events. But I think this is one where the crowd is going to be rooting for the heel.
Oh, dude, Charlotte's going to be absolutely booed out of the building. Like I said, Charlotte was and still is up there, but she was my favorite active wrestler for a really long time. I think this return has been unbelievably underwhelming. Yes. I'm like arguing with my friends. They're like, oh, same old shit, sick of it. And I was like, no, but she's like the best. And then I have to eat my words because she's having like mediocre at best matches. She's struggling in the babyface role on the microphone. Rhea, every storyline, she is such a heel, but it doesn't matter. The crowd loves her. Whether or not she turns babyface the day after Mania, I don't know. But at WrestleMania, doesn't matter what the story is, doesn't matter what she does. She could be as dastardly as ever. She's going to get a hero's welcome at that show. Sammy, Cody, and Rhea. I think those are going to be the biggest reactions all weekend.
And you mentioned him. I think this is what kind of should be the main event of the Saturday night, which is the undisputed WWE Tag Team Championship match with Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens versus the Usos. This storyline has been unfucking real. So good. So engaged. So like captivating. This is the most I've been engaged in a WWE storyline in 20 years. I don't know. Like in forever. It's so good.
It's been I don't want to say magical because that's so fucking Disney, but I mean, this storyline doesn't even just start with Sammy joining the bloodline. This goes all the way back to Reigns and Jey Uso.
Right.
And that's going to continue. Like overall, this could wind up being a 3-year arc, whether, it's going to have its arcs in between, but overall, man, this is up there with, it's one of the special things. We have the Kofi Mania. We have Daniel Bryan's ascent. We have Becky's ascent. What do we have in between that? We have some of CM Punk's stuff. It never got to this type of level. And I'm a huge CM Punk fan. John Cena did get to this level, and it was, oh my gosh, shoot. And then all of a sudden everyone turned on him. So it doesn't resonate, even though John Cena resonates, but you don't think about the groundswell that he had at WrestleMania 20 leading up to WrestleMania 21 and everything. And then before that, what do you have? The Rock in Austin. And now I'm not saying crossover mainstream stars, but I'm talking about in wrestling as far as like, yo, we fucking care about this. Unbelievable drama, unbelievable television, insane wrestling storytelling. I am blown away that this is not headlining Saturday night, especially because like set a precedent. When was the last time a tag team match has headlined a WrestleMania? 85.
Never.
Do it again.
Oh, that's right.
The first one, like
the first one.
And these guys deserve it. KO has been the under the radar MVP for years now. Finally got a little bit of his flowers last year with the Austin. That was last year, right?
Yeah,
him in Austin. But even so, it's like put him in this position because he, we could trust him. He could deliver. And then they turn him babyface right after that. And congratulations. But this match deserves for all 4 of these guys and every peripheral character. This deserves the headline the first night. But either way, this is going to steal the show. The crowd is going to be fucking bonkers. And hey, what happens at the finish of this match? What happens afterwards? I have no idea. I don't want to have any idea. And I'm so excited to see this play out from start to finish with this match. And then for weeks later.
You're right. I agree. It can go either way and it would be fine just because of how great the writing is. But I feel like right now is the moment, like the peak climax of when they should start this next phase of the bloodline storyline, which is the dissolution of the bloodline. And I think that starts with the Usos losing their titles. And I think it's the time to do it because the next place for Roman to go, and we'll get to this obviously with the next match, is is to like his fall. Because like we've seen 2 years of Roman, it's getting a little repetitive. So I feel like both Usos and Roman have to lose. Roman starts blaming the Usos, and then they can finally start or rekindle the Roman versus Jey Uso feud, which I think that's huge money too.
Yep, absolutely.
And meanwhile, that's going on. Cody could start his title reigns. And then after a few months, Roman Reigns could get his rematch at SummerSlam or whatever. But I feel for this, where they're going with the story, Roman kind of has to lose. And for Cody to not look like a total like dumbass, he has to win. He has to win or like he is gone. He looks like a loser, and he's he's who they're banking on to be their top babyface. They have to keep him strong.
Sometimes the most obvious answer is the correct answer.
Agreed.
There's so many other things that we could get swerves and surprises, and it doesn't matter. Like, oh, of course Cody wins. Like, yes, of course he wins. It's how it happens. And I have full confidence in both of these guys, as well as Heyman, to make this match a proper WrestleMania match. This is going to be a match for the ages. I don't think there's anything else I could say that hasn't been beaten to death as far as how great Reigns has been. How, hey, who would have known all this time? We just had to turn him heel, and now he's everything we ever wanted, as well as the admirable journey that Cody Rhodes, the human, has been on, as well as how it culminates with his character. And I don't think that he has been playing copy and paste babyface, which I think is awesome. He's been the Cody Rhodes we know from the internet and AEW and Indie Cody pre AEW and internet Cody when he was fed up with being Stardust. I love how they incorporate, hey, this is personal for you. This is business for me, until it gets a little personal and he kind of is riding that line instead of going full on. I don't even care about the title at this point. I just have to do this for my dad. And, it's so much more realistic because he's not playing paint by numbers babyface. He's obviously a babyface, but I mean, he's a businessman. He wears a fucking suit all the time. His hair is that annoying length where, get rid of it or grow it long. Like, why do you just look like a banker? It works for him, and all that stuff is endearing. And I'm so satisfied with his characterization this entire time, because it really could have went one way or the other. And I think the more they pushed into boring, no, I'm back, I got to do this for my dad. I'm going to cry all the time, and that's all that matters. The crowd would have turned on him. It's too marshmallow, soft 80s. And he's not going any other direction where, like, he's not like super badass. You know what I'm saying? He's very individualistic in his character, even though his character is, rich white guy who just wants to win, which is like everything we should hate, but we love it because it's genuine and there is emotion in it. But because he's Cody, businessman, I did this for my career and that for my career and yada yada. He's very calculated, and it's a great mix of familiar and little twist of something new to give us something new. And I love the idea of Cody Rhodes being the potential face of the company, because there's so many other, in wrestling at least, megastars where if he doesn't do it for you, I feel like he's hard to root against. But if he's not your guy, then you have KO and Sami Zayn, because they're they look totally different from each other and everyone else. They both look like shit. We love it. They're excellent in the ring and on the mic. And if you're not into that type of guy and you are more kind of stuck in the 80s, you have Drew McIntyre, you have Sheamus. So I think everybody on this card is playing their role on babyface side, heel side, and it's not rehashes of what worked 5 years ago. Let's do that again. And that's despite having all these legends. So I think they're all in different placements than they would have been 5 years ago, 10 years ago. So this is like what I was saying when we first started. When I think about WrestleMania this year, I'm like, oh, I'm excited to hang out with my friends and eat the Tostito Bowl, and it's going to be fun. But like, whatever. But when I watch the show and specifically focus on the show, this show is fucking rad. There's some heavy hitting matches. There's some, like, I didn't want to say popcorn matches, but ones that, like, I'll just sit and watch this, have a good time. And the fact that we don't have 15 matches announced for 2 days, like, we might be in and out 3.5 hours each day, which I love fun.
I would love that.
But sometimes
Please.
too much is too much. So if we get 7 hours of wrestling over 2 days with just banger, 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 and emotional roller coasters each night, I think this could really be one of the best we've had in a couple of years.
I think it's the best setup WrestleMania that they've had in a very, very long time. The last few of them have been a little hit and miss, but this one I feel like they've spent basically the entire year very diligently and doing it. And so, yeah, I think this has potential to be a really great Mania. Their pay-per-views lately have all delivered
Yes.
in the ring. So the only thing that they have going against it is potential fatigue. I've noticed with the last few WrestleManias, the Sunday show feels a little longer than the Saturday show.
Mm-hmm.
So they have to kind of fight that. But the storylines they have in place for the matches on the Sunday shows, like the Cody and Roman one, are very, very strong. That's the match I'm most looking forward to.
Yeah.
Because like you said, I don't know what's going to happen. I think I know what's going to happen, which is Cody's going to win, but it could really go either way. So I'm very, very excited. And I want to thank you, Rick, for taking some time and hanging out with me here, and we do some predictions.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. I love talking about wrestling. I talk too much. I love procrastinating going to work. I just texted my boss, hey, I'm going to be a little bit late. And he doesn't give a shit because
okay,
the
good.
job is stupid. So there we go. I apologize for the technical difficulties, but man, I love talking about wrestling and metal. And
yeah, we'll have you on. We definitely have to have you on again for another pay-per-view preview or recap. And we could shoot the shit some more. And
anytime,
talk more
man.
Stuff. And of course, pick up the new Extinction. I can't even say the.
You're Southern now.
Extinction AD. Pick it up. It's Culture of Violence. The album is out now. It's on Unique Leader Records. It brings the riffs. Safe to say, brings the mosh. It's good stuff. Check it out.
It's a pounder, man. It's like when Sheamus bashes people with the forearms. It's like that, but we got some Ricochet high spots in there too.
Oh, very nice. Oh, I always like to ask which wrestler would you want to be your tag team partner?
Oh, living?
Yeah, living, like active right now. Let's say.
Am I restricted by company? Should I stick with WWE?
Whatever you want. Whatever hits your first name in your head.
First, I would probably pick La Parka.
Nice.
But if I'm going active, you know what? I might pick Drew McIntyre because we're like similar height. We're both white and Irish.
Yeah, totally. I see it. I see that.
Yeah. We're totally opposites. But man, I really like Drew McIntyre. I bought a Drew McIntyre shirt last time I went to Raw. I mean, that's what grown men do. They wear shirts with cartoon versions of other guys on it.
Yeah, especially at the gym.
Everywhere. That's going to be my my Saturday shirt, even though I'm like rooting for Gunther. But I think. Hey, who wants a really long explanation why I chose Drew McIntyre? I think Drew was sick. That's who I choose. It'd be a good time.
All right, cool. Well, Rick, thanks for hanging out. We got to do it again.
Thank you, man.
Sometime soon.